Greetings, family and friends. I'm Fox Indigo, and you are now watching Fox on Flix with Friends. I am very happy to have a guest with me, the Alien Review. You can find him on YouTube. We watched I Am a Virgo together. You can find that on Amazon Prime. It has one season, 7 episodes. It was written by Riley Boots. And before we even get into the review, I would like my guest, the alien, to introduce himself, tell us a little bit more about who he is, his platform, where you can find him, and how we can support him.
Hi guys, I just wanted to say to Fox Indigo, thank you for letting me on the platform. It is such a delight, and I hope we could definitely do this in the future. My name is the Alien Review, or Donovan. I am a multidisciplinarian. I do Black commentary on Black social issues, and I also do live streams on TikTok, amongst acting as well, trying to get my foot in the door with a few things. So far, I think my focus is Black commentary, acting, and just anything that I could find that's like artistry wise. And you can find me, I'm probably, if you want to do like collaborations or activities with me, you can DM me on TikTok and Instagram, and my email is available to everybody. So just don't be shy.
I hope that you go and visit his platform. Please support him. The whole idea of this platform is not to just showcase Black artistry as far as movies and television. We want to be able to support our community all around the world, male, female, whatever their sexuality is. I want everyone to remember who's Black, to know that we are Black first. There is always room for all of us, our diversity. There is nothing wrong with claiming individuality, individual groups, as as long as we can learn to celebrate each other's differences. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we're all part of the same cloth. We live on this one tiny little rock that's floating. They say it's in outer space. I don't know. We could be floating in a glass of water. I really don't know. But I know that we're stuck here together. Let's not just for the sake of the Black community, let's also just show the world just how diverse and different and how creative that we are. Let's just jump into I Am a Virgo. It was written by Riley Boots. Now, if you're not familiar who Riley Boots is, he also wrote the movie Sorry to Bother You. A very interesting movie. If you want to watch another one of Riley Boots, one of his other creations or movies, you could watch that. So I reached out to you, asking, do you want to collaborate? The first thing that I could think of was I Am Virgo. I thought it was different. I visited your YouTube page. I saw what you do, and I thought, like, okay, this actually might be like a good fit for us to, do together. And so there's just like a couple little like key points that I wanted to kind of touch on. One being the coming of age story. So just to give a little background, I Am Virgo is about this young man, this young Black man who's a giant, and he has parents that kind of they shelter him. They shelter him. They keep him, away from the world, obviously, because he's a giant. And they have the best intentions in mind, like a lot of parents do. I'm a parent, so I definitely understand what it is to want to shelter your children and kind of like keep them safe, and locked away. Before we really get into like, how was it for you growing up, like your parents and
So, a little vice versa, but I do, as a person who researches and understands perspectives, I definitely agree with, I understood why they did that. The perspective is very much, and I think they did a great job with that. Like, and they used the analogy of him being a giant when we know as Black people in the community, the formality is being a Black person. So I like how they did like a kind of fantasy type of archetype with it. But I think what really it showcased was almost Black parents being scared to have their Black children out in the world because of how dangerous things are politically for us, especially with him being a Black man and Black women amongst too. And I think it was trying to illustrate almost how Black parents tried to One wanted to shelter, one didn't. One wanted them to grow, one wanted to stagnate. And I really loved that. But one thing I wanted to point out that I was seeing quite frequently that I absolutely loved, and I love that they changed the stigma, is that, and this is not to say that being like a Black single parent is a bad thing, but I think in film and TV, that's what we're always used to. And I really appreciated that. Not even with Cudi, with Flora, even though their parents divorced, even with Flora's story, we saw a two-parent household. And I really loved that we saw that dynamic,
Yeah,
that dynamic be there again and be as strong. And I really
yeah,
appreciated, and it was really emphasized, and you really noticed it. And even though the parents didn't really agree with each other, both characters, parents didn't agree with certain things, it was still a two-parent household. So I did appreciate
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, and even though they, like you said, one kind of wanted to like hold him back and one was kind of like he has to grow, it was still the same agenda. It was still out of love. It
Right.
was still completely out of love. And you're right, having the two parents, because I think there's a stigma, especially with our community, that we don't come from two parent homes. I grew up on Long Island, and I grew up with most of my friends had two parents, and I lived in a predominantly Black neighborhood. There's a lot that I see in social media and on television for me that does not resonate. I didn't have to dodge bullets, I wasn't seeing people on the corner,
Uh,
smoking and drinking, and I didn't grow up that way. And I think there's a stigma, especially with our community, where they just assume when they
mhm,
see a Black face that we don't have two parents,
exactly.
we don't have an education. Most of my friends had two parents. We played outside, we rode our bikes, we walked all the way to the mall. We were, I didn't worry about any of those things. So yeah, I agree.
One contradiction I loved within the show was, I don't know if you noticed this, but in the episode 1, 2, and 3, and 4, even, I noticed that the neighborhood looks kind of, I don't want to say ghetto, but the neighborhood looks low, like poor. But the
Right.
illusion is that it looks poor, but it's not ghetto. Because if you look at how the neighborhood is ran and how the people treated their people, it's very loving, it's supportive, it's kind. Even I did not, one thing that I think I was even taking a fool about was that I was like, oh, the neighborhood looks bad. And then I saw him with the group of friends and he was trying to get like into hang out with them. And I was like, oh no, my first, and this is on my bad. I thought, oh, they're gonna treat him bad, they're gonna use him, but they treated him
Me
well.
too.
And that is what I like about that. It was more of a, that's what I really liked about this show. It showed you like, let me throw in all these like stereotypical contradictions and then reverse them on you and like twist it. I really appreciated that. And I think like they took the whole day together. I thought it was so beautiful. And I thought it really gave you that like Black magic of like being in a community and like having fun with your friends. They went to Bang Bang Burger, they went to the club. It didn't matter how the community looked, it was there. And I really appreciated that.
Right. Yeah. The love was there. The acceptance was there. I love that. I love that you picked up on that because, again, I think a lot of stereotypes. And what is kind of sad about it is that you and I both had that initial feeling like, oh man, he's different.
Yeah.
They might take advantage of him. Like, oh, yeah, like, God, this is going to go south really, really fast. But it didn't. Like you said, they accepted him. There's a sense of community. I think that plays on like what we see in social media, what we're seeing in society, the fact that both of us kind of came to that conclusion. I came from a predominantly white neighborhood first on Long Island, and then I moved to Uniondale. So it was a completely two different worlds. Growing up on Long Island and coming from like an all white neighborhood and then coming to an all Black neighborhood. And I do see this reflected in other Blacks that I know that have grown or have grown up in white neighborhoods. We have a tendency to look at ourselves through white eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And for a few years from moving from a white neighborhood to a predominantly Black neighborhood, I did see myself that way. It was like one day I had the shift and I realized that I was looking at myself and looking at my people through white eyes. And when you talk about the community that Cudi was accepted into, that's how I felt moving from one community to the other. For me, my experience, I was embraced. Okay, so even though I came as different, that Black girl's different, there was a sense of you're still, one of us, and there was still a community, and I was still allowed to be different. Now, everyone is an individual, everybody has their own stories. I mean, I've heard other stories, I've heard things like, oh, it's called Oreo and all this stuff. And I was like, I was too. The difference was, for me personally, I didn't care. I'm going to be this Oreo, and you're going to eat this Oreo. Everyone likes Oreos, drink it down with a glass of milk. I saw this greatness in being Black, and I also saw this greatness in the misunderstanding. So another Black person misunderstanding me really was not such a big deal. Over time, you're going to know who I am, and you're going to know that we're the same. We're the same. Does it matter?
I hate to say this, but it was not like that for me. It was a letdown. It was a major letdown that I think I had to grow and heal from. But
Mm-hmm.
where I grew up in Baldwin, Long Island, this was around the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up predominantly around Black people. But when you are in a Black neighborhood, but it's controlled by white people, I noticed at a young age that a lot of the Black people I encountered, I felt like we had to fit into what our stereotypes were. But the issue was these Black people were not themselves. They were being stereotypes because that's
Right, right.
they were Black people in a white lens.
Like I said, looking through themselves through white eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
So with
Mm-hmm.
that, we had colorism, xenophobia, and homophobia to the point where I remember, and I'm gonna be honest.
That's crazy because I'm part of the generation that started the LGBT club. I'm the first, we were the first generation. I'm one of the first members of that club. We started that in, God, to age myself, 1997.
Wow.
And I remember how it was.
Yeah, it's rough.
High school. I don't know how it was when you went, but when I went to that high school, I fucking hated it.
It was
I
bad.
mean, I remember seeing people being pushed into lockers, being harassed for their sexuality, being beat up, being bullied. I couldn't believe it.
Probably still happening, but I think what made it worse was it was my own people. And I
Hmm.
think freshman and sophomore year, I noticed myself assimilating to those stereotypes, being that Black, messy, sassy, but I was popular from it. But what I noticed was around junior year, this was the this was the worst year of my life, but also my best because I reflected and I realized why am I craving this bullshit proximity that I don't want or don't need? So I started being myself, and being myself, I gained self worth within who I was and what I wanted to be. But the downfall was
Yeah.
I lost proximity, popularity, and I was hated on even more because I was myself. So it was disappointing. It was dreadful coming here every day to that school because of the wickedness within being around Black people. And I'm so happy because I had this individual that showed me that Black people aren't like this. There's different archetypes of us. And I feel like when I met that person in my life, it really helped me because it really showed me. Because, when you grow up around that for you get a stigma. You get a negative connotation. But I think when I healed from that, I explored that there were so many different archetypes, and there's so much beauty within. There's a lot of toxicity, but within that, there's so much beauty. I can move on and heal from it and look above.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
I found the archetype of Black people that I do like, that I'm okay with, and then I'm just not doing that.
I mean, everybody is not for everyone, regardless of the group. Like I always tell people, you know, trash is in every culture. It's like trash is part
And
of every
people
culture.
people fail to realize that within other communities.
Yeah, like
They think we're
you're
the
not your
originated
community's not
first.
perfect.
Right. I said that I'm not gonna say the race, but there was a live stream I did where we had a particular race individual. She's like, "Why are people like this? Why are people like that? Why are people like that? There's so much issues." And I said, because I researched, I said, "Doesn't your community have physical, emotional incest in it quite frequently?" And she was mad. But the idea that I was trying to showcase to her was no community is perfect. The
No.
issue is they like to highlight our stuff. And sometimes the things that they even highlight are not even our origination of it, it's from another one. So I
Right.
think it's funny. And I think that I love watching shows like I Am Virgo. I love watching shows like that because I think it really showcases a type of Black unification. And also, I love Afrofuturism. No, the Black community, we need to do more Black futurism. It's truly amazing. We got to get back into that because Black futurism is where it needs to be right now. I think it's
Hmm.
such a strong type of genre that's not really explored. But I also did I wanted to point out because you wanted to highlight episode 4, right? One, so I am a prude, whatever, but like I could watch sex, it's whatever. But it's like the sex scene was. I thought I was like, "Oh, it's
It's
gonna be
amusing.
like a black sex, like you know how black sex scenes are. So it's just like, but it was different. It was more comical. It was a coming of
Yeah.
age story. It was his first time. It was. I don't know if it was her first time because she like
It
hinted
was
that like.
very weird. It was a very fucking weird. I was like,
But one thing I loved, and I really love Flora's character. She's one of my favorites
yeah.
because she showcases and like, and I'm not saying that like, I think sometimes in Black cinema when men write, I think when Black men write like powerful Black women, I feel like they always make them this like over like feministy, like extreme,
Out of attitude,
always
opinionated.
bald for some reason. They're always bald. I don't know why.
Fault. Right.
The thing I really loved about Flora was Flora's demeanor was submissive, but her personality was dominant. Almost, it reminds me of this quote I remember: "Don't take a woman's submissiveness for meekness," or something like of the sorts. Or then there's another quote where it's like, I forgot what it was, but it's like that quote is very, I think, strong because that's who I feel like Flora was. Even during the sex when Cudi got behind himself and he was like he started like saying things that I feel like most stereotypical people say during
Hmm.
sex. That's like kind of like no girl really is into that type of word vernacular when during sex.
Right. Right.
She stops it and she's like, "Am I fucking you or am I fucking him?" And like, she's like, "Be yourself." And I like that she kept saying that to him. And I love that because I think Black men, we need to realize that significantly. Like, and I love how she literally stopped what she was doing to clock it and got back into it. And I really love that
Yeah.
as a Black person, we got to see a Black woman who was submissive within herself, but on her own terms, not off of a male, on her own terms, and was also assertive within what she believed in. One thing I didn't like, her empowerment movements were like subliminally not shown, but you could see it. When the
Mhm.
tear gas was being thrown at the people, she was like vastly throwing it right back at them so they wouldn't
Right.
get attacked. And even when it came down to the burgers and when she wanted to talk for giving Black people affordable food that's actually good and healthy for them, like I really appreciated that. And I really
Mhm.
loved the just I loved also one other thing, the last thing about the sex scene, and I'll let you go, is I loved the sexual agency it showed on both sides. You know, I think often in Black sex or just in general, I was talking to a friend about this a few days ago. I feel like an issue that I feel like I was talking about that I don't like is I feel like, and this is something I felt like I said with Black androgynous people and Black women specifically, I feel like it's very unfortunate that I feel like sexual autonomy and sexual agency is taken from them. And I feel like
Yes.
in this scene, it showcased the collaboration more than he's doing the work and she's just enjoying it. Or it's like it was intuitive, and I feel like that's what we need to see when we do, I guess, more risque black scenes, not just roughness or just raw or
Mhm.
just this like uncanny thing, or she's just like laying there. Like, we need to see more of the sexual agency be collaborative, because that's what sex is, not
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
one thing.
Was it the 6th or 7th episode where Cudi wanted her opinion. He valued what she thought and what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it was a short moment, but he expressed to his parents like, yeah, I think I kind of value her opinion more. Like, what does she want me to do? And I kind of I enjoyed that because for me it was like he valued, like he knew the person that she was, like she wasn't a manipulator or anything like that. He understood that she wanted the best for him.
Yes, exactly. Even when she showcased him different food, I think the best thing was their argument scene that they had in the 6th episode, where she was
Mm-hmm.
like, listen, she was like, I like having sex with you, but you need to shower more than once a day. And like we
Right,
kind
right. She's like, I
of
like your balls.
right. But like I love, and she's like, I could smell them from here. And I just like, this is what I love to see. Like, I love to see this, like, kind of like, they have their arguments, but just a healthy black relationship. And I feel like that's
Yeah,
so lacking in black cinema. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with having pitfalls, of course, but I think it needs to be done in a correct formality. And I
right.
think one thing I didn't like about this series was, I feel like we didn't really see much on Joan's character. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity. I feel like the black lesbian archetype is pushed in a very negative way. So I think they were like, we don't, because the way that they were showcasing the character, we've seen it before, but it was done in a better way. We've seen it so many times. It's almost like we kind of already get it. So I kind of like that they put her in the limelight, but they know when to use her.
I'll agree with you with the Jones. I love the fact that like you just pick up on like these subtleties of the show and of the character, because I felt the same way with Jones. I liked her character. I thought they were going to do a little bit more. I kind of understood why they didn't, but because I felt like there were points where they used her that were very profound.
Hmm.
I love that she was the storyteller.
Yes. So, when she was on the speech doing the capitalism thing, and when she did where she was discussing to Cudi, because the thing about Cudi, and I'm not trying to be offensive when I say this, but
Mhm.
what I found very interesting was Cudi reminded me of Black. Please, please don't get caught up in my word salad. Just so
No, no, this is a place like I want us to be like very open and honest. Yeah.
Cudi reminded me of a Black biracial person that wanted to be in Black culture, but has the lens of a white person. What I don't get is the parents were so pro-Black. I don't really know where that came from.
I saw him as a big baby. I think in our community, Black men are infantilized.
Hmm.
Like, with rappers, you have young jock, young baby, young this, baby, little baby, this, little baby. Like, no, you're grown ass men.
Who's
You're grown
20
ass men.
with 3 kids? Like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Right. But like Hootie to me, just he was extremely naive, obviously because of his parents. I understand you're naive, you don't understand the world, you're trying to figure out your own way. But there was a point where I felt like even when he was being told, like, this doesn't look right, you shouldn't do this, it was
Oh,
still kind of like, I'm going to do it my way.
it's what was the model thing. That was very, very on the T. I think he did like it, and I think he just wanted the money. But I did
Hmm.
see the whole thing. What I loved about the 2nd episode was his like fame stardom thing. Oh my gosh, you can tell it's inspired that type of like story archetype of like being like this fetishized new coming of age thing. I thought of Eartha Kitt and Billie Holiday because I think with Black women, when it comes to fame and stardom and arts, they get looked at as, "Ooh, you're this new thing." What I loved was how he's like, "I have billboards, I have this," and it just dropped. And it reminded me a lot of how our Black female artists are like that, where they're like, they're at this tippy top of their proximity, they're on the highlight, and then they support one thing that white people don't, they hate, lost everything. And that's literally what happened to Eartha Kitt and Billie Holiday, and amongst other unfortunate Black talent that we do have in America. I think that does happen to Black men, but it's just a different type of story element to it. But I think it was interesting that they used a Black female element with a Black man. I've never seen that done before, but I loved it.
So, just quick break, everyone who's watching this. I hope that you enjoy our discussion. If you have watched I Am a Virgo, I would like to know kind of like what are your favorite scenes, characters? What is it that we may have missed? Comment down below. If you do like the discussion so far, I would like you to just press, thumbs up. So, I mean, I feel like we touched a lot. We spoke about the characters, how they were used in the story, our backgrounds, how we kind of interpret what we saw, which is really what I wanted to get out of the discussion.
One thing I noticed was location. I love that it takes place in Oakland, California. I feel like it's very enriched in Black culture, and like I think there's a really good Black community that he's trying to showcase with Oakland. And I'm noticing that because Sorry to Bother You takes place in Oakland. Also, does that show I Am a Virgo? I know that because I'm good at geography. I could tell, but also I looked it up. They both take place in Oakland.
Location does play a big part in storytelling, and I think it does play a big part in Black storytelling because we are in different pockets and enclaves in the country, and there are reasons for that, and that plays into our story and our history in those locations. There's just all these different aspects that play into the psychology. We automatically had these preconceived notions when we were looking at certain scenes and certain characters, thinking this is how it's going to play out, and then it doesn't play out that way. I love that because I think that's what our community needs. I think our community needs to be reminded that we are not the stereotypes that America says that we are.
100. We need to focus on our subgenres. We could do Black fantasy. We could do Black horror. We could do Black alternative R&B. We could do rock rap. We need to focus on our subgenres significantly.
For me, they're not even subgenres. That's
Right.
exactly who we are.
Exactly. You're right.
Because we are country,
Mhm.
we are country. They got it from our chain gangs. That's where country came from.
Right.
We are rock music. Chuck Berry, Sister Rosetta. People don't understand. Sister Rosetta is the reason why you have an electric guitar.
Exactly.
Rock and roll is Chuck Berry, is Little Richard, is James Brown. Like
Jimi
those,
Hendrix.
you're right, Jimi Hendrix. Like that's who we are. Then you have rhythm and blues. Like we're not just rap and hip hop. That's just such a small genre.
Minute.
We covered everything. I don't want to give too much away. I'm hoping that there's a season 2. So I looked it up and they said like it's not canceled, but there's no future plans for a season 2. So I'm hoping that maybe if there's more of like a cult following that they'll say like, let's do a season 2.
The whole thing is, and I say this again as a Black person who's in the industry, we need to focus on our Black cinema. We had a show on Hulu, Black Cake, canceled. We had a really great Black show called Unprisoned, canceled. And then we had another Black show where it focused on a Black trans woman and a supportive Black father in the church. Don't change your concept. Stick to the original concept of drama. When it comes to fantasy or other genres that are a little bit more complex, you should always maybe edit or reevaluate. But when it comes to drama, keep that original script, because the original script is always the best, in my opinion.
I would like to do another review with you. So we're going to have to make a plan.
Definitely.
If you want to just listen to this, Fox on Flix and Friends, you can find it on Spotify and it is also on Apple. Obviously, you can just watch it here on my channel. If you want to follow me on Instagram, Fox on Flix, I don't really do much with it, but if you want to go and follow, go right ahead.
Instagram, the Riddler _
Yes, follow us both. We need your support. We need to support each other. Again, friends, thank you so much for joining us. I really enjoyed this very much. This was a really great conversation. Hopefully this will turn into something much bigger for both of us and take us to places that we've never even imagined that we would be, you know? So thank you. The Alien Review. Find him on YouTube. Again, he is on Instagram. I really, really appreciate it. We're going to collaborate again. Thank you for joining us. And please stay tuned for another podcast. It is a Nigerian movie. It's a Nigerian horror flick and very interesting. You can find that on Prime if you want to watch it before the podcast is posted. Again, that is A Song from the Dark. Until then, friends, love, kisses, and hugs. That's a wrap.